Hey everyone, it's me, Captain Foley from Trekyards and Fleetyards fame, coming to you, the Junkman Collective, for a look at a failed toy line. The Junkman was nice enough to have me back on the channel. I've been on here a few times talking about various things, but he wanted me to talk about a failed toy line. Now, since we do Star Trek all the time, that's the main point of Trekyards, we also have our spin-off show Fleetyards, where we look at other sci-fi franchises such as Star Wars and many others. So, even though the Star Trek the Motion Picture toy line was absolute garbage and underperformed, as did the follow-up, the Star Trek 3 toy line, very limited figures, and again, not the best quality. I'm not going to be talking about those today. I'm going to be talking about something sci-fi, and something done by Disney. And I'm going to be talking about the BlackHole toy line today. Now, the BlackHole was a good movie, if you're a sci-fi fan, a little bit slow in parts, and it did underperform at the box office, which sadly resulted in the toys underperforming as well. Now, Mego, as you guys know, had turned down the Star Wars license when they had the opportunity, and at this point they were pretty much kicking themselves because that proved to be super popular and a big money maker. So, to cash in on the fame of this space sci-fi franchise, they scooped up the BlackHole. Now, they did the 3.5-inch figures to fall in line with Star Wars instead of their 12-inch figures, which they're known for. So, in the main roster of characters for the Series 1 of release of figures, you had Dr. Reinhardt, Dr. Durant, who was played by Mr. Psycho himself, Anthony Perkins, Captain Holland, Lieutenant Pizer, Dr. McCrae, Harry Booth, you had the robot Sentry, you had Vincent, the robot, and Maximilian, the evil robot. Now, Maximilian's one of my favorite robots from all of sci-fi, so I absolutely love Maximilian. So that was the Series 1 release. Series 2 only had 3 figures in it. That was the Star Robot, which is the evil, bad robot army. A humanoid, they were the faceless people with no real lines or names, and Old Bob, which is the other robot, very similar to Vincent. None of these figures came with weapons, unfortunately. There was no accessories, so it's going to lose a lot of points there immediately. And Series 2 was only released in Italy and Canada in very limited runs. Now I'm fortunate enough to live in Canada, and the Junkman always talks about how Canada, Sears, gets a lot of things Star Wars-wise that you guys didn't. So I apologize on behalf of all Canadians for having cool stuff that you don't. But needless to say, the line was not super popular, and that was a result of the movie underperforming. Now, Mego did also release some 6-inch magnetic features, which are very similar to the Micro Men series. I think it was Micro Men. And also a 12-inch figure line that included a larger Vincent. But again, those were only released in Italy for some reason. So I don't know what the licensing rights with Italy were, but there you go. No playsets were done, although there were concepts for the Bridge of the Cygnus to be a playset. The only accessories that were made there was a laser scope fighter, which was actually used again later in the Buck Rogers toy line. Now, there were advertisements and commercials that had the Palomino, which is the good guy's ship in the show, had a Palomino toy in the commercial. Unfortunately, that was never released. It was advertised but never released, so there's probably 1 or 2 out there, and they'd be super rare to get their hands on. And there was never any toy of the Cygnus, and the Cygnus is the coolest ship from that movie. It's the large ship that Dr. Reinhardt and the bad guys were on. So, the likenesses of the characters were never really good. It kind of just looked like melted cheese, and yeah, that's one of the reasons that I think that the whole thing underperformed. So, again, not a huge blockbuster of a movie. It was supposed to be, but like I said, it did underperform, so I think that's why the toy line failed. And plus, the limited releases in Italy really affected things, so I don't know why they do these things or why they make these choices. But anyway, guys, that is it for me. If you guys want to learn more about ships like the Cygnus, the Palomino, and a bunch of other cool stuff, head on over to Trekyards on YouTube. As I said, we also have our spin-off show called Fleetyards, where we look at all science fiction ships. So come, take a look, and again, thank you, Junkman, for allowing me to come on and talk to you about something that's very near and dear to my heart. So until next time, guys, I'm Captain Foley, signing off. Bye-bye.